Cool. All right, so what I want to go over today is how to take our text animations and put them together to turn them in, okay? I'm not going to go through the rendering process because we've discussed it. You should be able to look at your notes. If you don't have notes, look at an old video and then take notes on it. I'll also go through the process of bringing in our title card. I'll go through the process of bringing in the page transitions. The repetitive stuff we don't need to go through. So my first step is to go through my text animations and actually see what I do need and what I don't need. You may have gone through and made like 4 or 5 different ones that you're not going to use. That's fine. We just need to sort them out so we don't have like 50 of these that are not being used. So I'm going to go to comp 1. Okay, I'm not going to use that. So I'm just going to delete comp 1. Here's comp 2. Yep, I will use that one. And I will say final. That way I know that one's a final one. I'll put this in my composition folder. I'll go through my other ones. Nope, I'm not going to use that one. I'll delete it. This one I am going to use. Yep. Okay, so big step is the main one, and then big step 2 is the adjustment one. So this one is my final one. And then you only need 3, but obviously I have more, so I'm just going to add more of these just so you can, again, see that process. Yep, that one. Hello 2 is the final one, so I'll rename that. Swamp 2 is also my final one. Okay, and then I go through my solids, and anything that does not say used 1 time or used 2 times or whatever, I delete it because I don't need it, so there's no point in having it there. Oops, 1 in there is not being used. Good. There's nothing in sequences. There's nothing in stills unless I brought in an image. Here's my other ones that I use, my Illustrator things. I need those, so I'm not going to delete any of that. I have audio here. My compositions are there. Good. So I'm going to save this as, and I always save it, iterations, clean. So this is my clean version. So I've deleted stuff. If I screwed up, I deleted something I needed, I can go back to the previous version and get it. So now I need to go and open up my transitions. So because I've saved everything, I can go into my latest transitions. Here's all my transitions that I did. This should already be cleaned out because before I turned it in last time, I went through and cleaned out the entire thing. So I don't need to worry about doing it. Right. So I'm just popping it in. So now I go back to my other one, my text clean. I go to import. And then I find my text page transitions 2. There it is. So if I go to my final one here with my title card. Final page transitions final. There it is. Okay. So this is everything put together. Right? So it's pretty much already set up. It's just a matter of changing stuff. So I'm going to go to my title card. I'm going to find where I have my numbers. 03. Text animators. I will double check to make sure everything still works. Okay, I don't like that that's popping out right away. That's kind of like weird how it's just popping out there. So I will go to my text animators. I will change my start position so that it actually starts further off the screen. There we go. And then after it goes away, yep, everything's gone. Okay, so that's now updated. So if I come back to my final page transitions here, now it says that. Okay, so here's where this goes. So we go here. This covers the screen right there. That's where I'm going to drop in one of my text animators. Okay, so I'm going to go here and scoot down all the other ones. Just get them out of the way. Then I'm going to find one of my text animators and put it in here. And then we'll scoot it down to start right about there. Okay. So should it be above the page transition or below it? Below. Right? And then it goes away. Now you'll notice that as this thing animates off, that the text is just already there. It's already animating on there. I didn't allow a lead time on that animation before the stuff started animating for that transition. That's not a huge deal. I'll show you 2 ways to do that, and however you want to attack that is up to you. If I go to that transition here, I hit, let's see, this, that's just that one, that's just that. So this is just an effect. Here's the actual text coming in. So all of these are the text. So if I just take the text and I scoot it down, that will delay the text coming in. Okay, so I just grabbed everything and just scooted it over. That was animated. I go back to my final page transition. I double check it. It's covered. Oops, I didn't move it far enough. Let's go back to that. Yes, farther. There we go. So now this comes down. And now I have a little bit of room to play with. I can say, okay, well, this is where it actually comes in. I can probably just scoot this over, scoot that over. So that covers, yes. And then maybe a little bit further. You can see how I'm kind of like massaging it into place so that it starts pretty much right after it falls down. Boom, and then that starts. Maybe another frame or 2. Yep, that's good. Okay. So then the text writes itself. I'm going to turn off this thing, this little lightning bolt, because that's annoying. Okay, so right here, I have a good amount of time. So there's, I don't know, 5 seconds or so of just nothing. It's just the same thing forever. So what I'm going to do is have this animate on. And, like, this is at 9:14 and just finished. So I'm going to go up to, like, say, 10 frames. So 9:24. I'll drop it in another page transition. It doesn't matter which one. I can move whichever one I feel like putting in there. Maybe one matches the color better. Whatever. So now this one's going to animate in. At the point that it's fully covered, I cut the one off. I find my next one, and I drop that underneath that one. And now that one started pretty much at a good time. Like, that's gone, and then there comes the text. That's where it finishes, right there. I'll go up some frames, and I'll drop the next page transition in. I need to make my composition bigger because I pushed them all off the screen. There we go. Line up there. There it goes. Okay, fully covered. I'll grab the next one, drop it underneath, move it down. And this one is writing itself before we get there. So again, I have a couple options. I could jump back to the composition, take all those text pieces, scoot them down, or I can do this. And this is typically what I do because I don't want to ruin the original one. If I go to my layer and I go to time and I enable this thing called time remapping, it will basically allow me to take that animation and just scoot the animation over without affecting the actual animation way over here. Okay? So watch how this works. The animation starts right here. Okay? So it's basically starting right away. I'm going to scoot it down to the end of this. Okay, now this doesn't work because it pops in. But with time remapping, I can take this end and drag this end over. And what it does is it basically takes those start frames and just stretches out those start frames. Okay, so I'll basically have like a still image, and then it'll start my animation. Should start my animation. Yep, there it is. And then there's that. So we'll keep going. Yes, ma'am. It would not. It would not affect the audio at all. It would keep the audio exactly where it was. It would just have a still, and then the audio would kick in right at the same time. So now I need to scoot down the rest of these. And again, you only have 3. You have the hand animated one, like the Shrek, swamp one. You have the text animators like this one, and then you have the writing on one. So you only have 3, but I'm just showing you how you would add obviously more to this. Because these things are typically, they're pretty simple once you understood the concept of it. Yeah, so you could actually have 20 of these things that you animate and just kind of playing with different ways to animate text in. Okay, so there's this one. Again, it starts writing it too soon. So I go to layer, I go to time, enable time remapping. I scoot the whole layer down, but then I drag back the start of it. Oops. And then, of course, I have to make my composition even bigger because I have so many of these things. Yeah, I have a lot more things. There we go. Yep, so that one ends. If I didn't want the main one here, I would push that one in, and then I like to keep it organized, so that one would go right on top of that. There we go. So that one's covered. This one gets cut. The next one comes in, so I'll grab the Shrek one. I'll use my hotkeys. Right to the end of this. Enable my timer mapping. Scoot this back. Okay. And that's definitely not my final one. It is? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Why isn't it updating then? Let's double click that one and see. That is not my final one. That was my example one. This is my final one. Of course it does. That's what I get for not being organized enough. There we go. There we go. Okay. So here's a trick. I need to replace Swamp 2 with Swamp Final. If I just hold down the Alt key while Swamp 2 is clicked, I drag Swamp Final onto Swamp 2. It will automatically just swap the 2 out.
Oh, what? No, that's
so now it's in the same exact spot. There we go. Alright, so why is it getting cut off? I need a suggestion. A couple people had this on the first or second assignment. Maybe the first one.
You didn't move your mic further.
Oh, was exactly the same size?
Correct. Okay, so if my Illustrator document was 1280 by 720, I drag that into this. It's going to be 1280 by 720. As I put everything together, that one's going to be bigger than the rest of it, and you can see that by this, right? That's the size of that. It should, if I jump back to this one, it should fit perfectly on there. So, yeah. So I just need to go to the comp here and scale it. Any ideas what the scale would be? 75. 75%. Okay. 1280 to 960 is 75%. All right, so now that fits. That's just how much I had to scale it down. That's all. You could just estimate it, as you drag it, and then you'll see that it's pretty close to it. It'll be like right there. Was that?
Each of your texts.
Well, the whole thing was, right? So the whole comp was 100. It was too big. It was 1280 pixels. That's how wide the original comp was. You can see it up here. This comp that it's currently in is 960 by 540. Oops, right there. So then I just need to scale my swamp final down to 75. I don't know what happened there. That was not. Okay, what are you doing in my swamp? Okay. And then we'll just pretend that this is the last one, even though I haven't put the right on in here. Then I'm going to do one more page transition. See where that ended. Yes, that's good. Maybe not. Swamp comes in at 30. Let's say about there. That's when that should come in. Okay. When it covers the screen. There it goes. I'm going to cut this one. Now, we did see something odd happen there in that it just disappears, right? So that's another cool thing about the time remap is I can go to where it disappears. Like, let's say right here is where it disappears. I'm going to click a keyframe on this time remap and then just delete that end keyframe. And what it's doing is actually like saying, this is my new time for that one. And so now that one will continue forever. Here it's covered up, and then now it's gone. Okay? So the end of my animation will happen here. I set the end of my work area. I delete all the junk I don't need. Here's all the page transitions I didn't use. I trim my comp. And then I go ahead and send this to Media Encoder and make it an H.264. When you turn it in, same process that we went through before. Right? Cleaning up your folders. You don't have all the extra stuff in there that's not needed. And then dropping it into that Z drive, 8 a.m., Turnin text animator. There it is.
Yeah, you're in the wrong drive, by the way.
Mine's Y on my computer,
Oh, okay. That makes
just because I have Z attached to something else.
Alright.
So it'll be Z on yours, Y on mine.
Alright.
Cool. Questions on the wrapping it up? It's pretty
Also,
straightforward.
you do the sheet, right?
Yes, and then you give me the sheet. In which folder do you put it in?
To be turned in.
To be graded.
To be
To be graded. Make sure that